And fog patches and showers early Friday, but improving to greater than 6 miles on.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, whatever time it is. I hope you are having a wicked day. So what is occurring in Bristol today? Well, if you live in Easton or the Stapleton Road area, then you may already know or may have seen it. But for those of you guys that haven't or don't know what's going on, I'll give you a bit of context. Basically what has happened is Severn Side Rail Partnership has partnered up with a couple of local creatives and artists in the area to basically just pretty up one of the spaces that have had a lot of complaints as of late about the graffiti and tagging in the area. Now, for those of you guys that don't really know much about the graffiti art and tagging type of situation in Bristol, don't worry, I will be doing a mini documentary on, well, exactly that, the history and understanding where a lot of this kind of graffiti and that kind of stuff comes from. Because what I've realized is that there's a massive community and culture around it, around graffiti, tagging, all of it. And especially in Bristol, as you're seeing more and more creatives, or I think artists, trying to establish themselves legally, there's become more and more kind of like rising tensions between whether it be actual graffiti artists or muralists or these kind of things. Personally, it is very disappointing to me. I know firsthand, talking to each of these individuals, each of the creatives that were actually working on the projects, just how much work and effort and time was put into each one of these things, and not only just the project itself, but all the things leading up to it. I don't know how much you guys have realized, but it's been freezing, and for the last little while, these guys have been working their asses off trying to make something really nice for the community, which again, I appreciate and I think it looks wicked. However, on the same side, I'm aware of the other side of it, where there's a lot of artists that feel like they don't have a space to be able to do what they're doing, especially graffiti artists and that kind of thing. Now, I'm not trying to say that I understand everything. I'm very aware that it's very complicated, and that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys. Just the other day, on the 17th of March 2021, there was a bit of a photo opportunity for all the artists, the rail industry and the councillors that were all working together to create this project and really get it off the ground and make it a physical thing. And of course, it being the type of thing that I love seeing creativity really put out in the world, I took the opportunity to go down and personally interview each of these people that had put their time and effort into this work. Problem is though, my mic didn't pick up a single bit of audio from that day. It was a real shame, because there were some very, very interesting conversations and topics that were had, especially from the creative side of things, or at least especially from the muralist side of things. I think it's really important for like the local community, the people that are seeing who's prettying up their communities, to understand who the people are that come from behind it and their stories. But make sure you guys look forward to that. There'll be loads of artists and creatives, podcasts and documentaries and all this kind of stuff coming out soon. Anyways, back to the video. This is Faye. She's actually the one that got me involved in this whole thing and actually let me know what was going on and connect me with all of the creatives that were doing it. And in turn, that's allowed me to be able to put this content out to you guys. So make sure you guys, if you haven't already, smash the subscribe button. Make sure you're already clicking the like button. Make sure you're sharing it out to everybody in Bristol, because this is about to take over. As I said, this is Faye, just explaining a bit about the actual project itself. But before we hear what she has to say, I'd like to first send her a massive thank you.
That's fine. So this work here at Fox Park is an extension of the work we've been doing at Stapleton Road Station, getting some new murals done and the new gates, and trying just to enhance the area, working with Network Rail, Bristol City Council, the local community and like a steering group to try and just make it a bit of a nicer space. Obviously with the station we had all the big ramps put in, which are kind of grey and quite imposing, so we've stepped in to try and make some changes that we can make, and the Fox Park has been an extension of that. So again, working with the local community around like how can we improve this place. So the artworks are just the beginning of what we're hoping to do here. We've been working with 10 artists. They've been making these beautiful artworks here. These are all artists that have done work around the Severn Beach line, around the Werraways, and they're all from very different levels of their careers. So some are more established, such as Way, and then you've got like the piece of art group that are just starting up. This is their second commission, and it's amazing, and I love it. And actually, all the artists working together has been a real camaraderie, and everyone's like been really supportive, and it's been really lovely to see. But it's been quite a few months in the making. We started looking at it sort of, well, the Stapleton Road stuff was completed in August, and the wheels were already in motion by then. So this was sort of beginnings around September, artwork designs December. Finally, when the weather got a bit warmer, we've been getting all the scaffolding in over the last sort of 3 weeks. So the actual practical bit on the ground has been about 3 weeks work. So I heard about the Tagging, yeah. So I just got a message from Amira last night, who's one of the artists who got sent it, a picture. So there was sleepless nights of going, oh man. You know, tagging, we're expecting tagging. It's very much a Bristol thing. I mean, you can just look around here and there's so many pieces of art and tags and other work around the space. But this morning, I guess, you know, it's so new. And the responses we've had from like 99.9% of people walking through the space has been like, great, this is great, thank you. Like, even just seeing the way people move through the space, people aren't just sticking to the edges, they're walking through the middle, they're standing around and looking and just having a different feeling in the space. So I'm gutted that the work's been like covered up so quickly as well. And I mean, just even on a personal note, just knowing Wade's been out here in the wind and the rain and everything and the cold and like...
To me, it's very clear that there needs to be some form of discussion on this topic, especially in Bristol, where it's such a creative city already. And as time goes on, there's going to be more and more and more people wanting to be creative and show their creativity and put that out in their city, which, may I just say, I absolutely love the idea of. I love the fact that people like to express themselves, and I think it's something that everybody should be able to do. And realistically, doing it creatively, creating something physical, that, in my opinion, is the best way to do it. You're creating an emotion in someone, you're making someone think about something, or you're just cheering somebody up because a space looks pretty. And that is the reason why I'm saying this discussion needs to happen earlier rather than later, because when we're talking about these projects, whether it be muralist or whether it be just like something that you might walk past and not really think too much about, a piece of graffiti on the side of the wall, people have put time and effort and money especially into these things. These are personal projects, right, as well as wider projects for the rest of the community. Rather than having these two kind of spheres clashing, I think it would be amazing to have even collaborations, the art styles, the angles, people's views and stories on how they came up to be who they are, whether you're a prolific muralist in Bristol, whether you're a prolific graffiti artist in Bristol, whether it's tagging's up your thing. We need to be able to kind of all be coming together and understanding and respecting, more than anything, respecting everybody's work. But that's just my opinion, and that's what I see for the future. Bringing it back to the original point there needs to be some kind of discussion, and that's what I want this video to start doing in some way, shape or form. And so if you're not already familiar with it, I'd like to introduce you to a little project or a little something that me and my best mate have been working on for Bristol. BSTL Life. Bristol Life is a project and a platform for creators to connect, communicate and create together. But we're also aware that using this platform, we're able to highlight certain discussions that supposedly or should be had or being had. So we'd like to invite you guys to come and comment below on this video, comment on the Bristol Creative Network, comment on the Bristol Life page on how you feel. What are your thoughts on this whole situation? There's no wrong answer, there's no right answer, but by having these discussions where we're able to understand that there needs to be spaces for each different type of people to work in, and or where we're having graffiti artists and muralists and artists and creators from all different backgrounds working together. The problem is I would never ever want you guys to formulate your own opinion based only on what I have said or based only off of what you've seen on the internet or what you've heard from your friends. And so I went down to actually talk to some of the people that were actually working on the project, some of the people that were actually organizing the project, and also there was one really cool family that I managed to actually get and talk to about what their thoughts were. But I'm really sorry, it seems that Lil Man might have accidentally took out the actual connecting to the mic.
Luke used to live in Bristol. We moved out.
It's not on you though, Lil Man. I just need to upgrade my equipment. It is a real shame though, because these guys did have some really interesting input, and I would love for you guys to hear it. Hopefully I'll be able to get them to do like a bit of a self-recording or something like that I can bang at the end of the video. Now, while we didn't manage to get the interview with the family, I did get the opportunity to speak with one of the helpers that were helping to clean up the graffiti on the wall, and he had some pretty interesting things to say.
I'm personally connected with somebody involved in the project, so we found out the news that it had been tagged this morning. I had a look at it, didn't think there was as much as we actually found when we came down here, so quite disappointing. I'm aware of like this project from like the very like grassroots of when it started, being like closely connected to someone involved. So, you know, initially, like, you know, not just is it about all the artists' hard work, it's all the other hard work that's gone into it, all the moving elements that have gone into this. They've made this sort of like possible with the idea that it's going to try and improve this sort of like area that's been neglected for a long time, you know, especially when there's like a great big new piece of chunk of metal like put in place now. You know, I don't know much about like, I wouldn't claim to know heaps about like, you know, the graffiti scene and the graffiti culture, but I know people who've done it in the past. I went out and did a little bit myself in my teens, you know. So I understand elements of the tagging culture and what goes on and spraying in like spots and things, little bits. I'm not trying to claim I know much at the risk of sounding really stupid. But, you know, with a project like this, that's like, you know, crossing over into something that I would say is similar but different, is clearly comes under a banner of street art, which I know a lot of graffiti does as well. So I understand that tagging was going to happen at some point. Someone was going to come and spray over it. Someone was going to like show how big their junk was by coming down and like putting something over the top of it because it's a spot. I get that. I guess I hope there'll be at least some sort of grace period with a piece this size, this big, that let people like enjoy it for a bit at least, man. You know, that's what I think. You know, we're like 20 feet away from some other walls. If you really wanted to like put your new piece up that you sat at home and sketched, not that far from somewhere else, you can do that. But this is just a bit, you know, even if I wasn't personally connected, I'd find this pretty sad that, like, you know, there's, you know, for me it's outside of what, from an outsider point of view, it's outside of that idea of the culture of like tagging on top of people's stuff. It's a little bit of a step beyond that. This is like, this is downright just a bit mean and nasty, I think. Yeah.
There you have it. If you didn't know before, now you know. The way that I look at this, I see it as a kind of battle for expression and battle for space to express, but I also see it as an opportunity for us to not only break down those barriers that separate so much what we call street art and what we call graffiti, but I also see it as an opportunity for so much more interconnectedness and working together. Because bro, can you imagine the kind of work you could see when you're mixing like typical art and street art type stuff with typical crazy graffiti looking? Oh my god, I cannot wait and I'm excited for it. But I want to know what you guys think. Make sure you guys comment below, share this about, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace and prosperity be upon all of you. Love.
Oh, 1 mile in fog patches and showers early Friday, but improving to greater than 6 miles on Friday morning.